All right, let's dive into something kind of witchy today.
Ooh, sounds
We're
intriguing.
going to explore, Stevie Nicks and uh, witchcraft, that whole connection.
It's a question that's been swirling around her for what, like decades now? Feels like it's woven into everything, her music, her style, like all of
Uh,
it.
exactly. Yeah. And to really unpack all this, we've got a lot to work with. We've got articles, we've got interviews with Stevie herself from across like her whole career. Can you imagine seeing how her views on all this have changed over time?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fascinating. Plus we've even got some pretty passionate fan discussions happening online.
It's a good mix, which is, of course, what makes for a great deep dive.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Like, where did this whole Stevie Nicks as a witch thing even come from? It's not like it just appeared out of nowhere, right?
Well, I think you could say the seed was planted kind of early on in her career back in 1976 with Rhiannon.
Oh, of course. Rhiannon. That song's practically an anthem.
Huge hit, yeah. And it was on, the Fleetwood Mac album, so it really blew up.
That's right. But wait, isn't that song based on um, a Welsh goddess? Was Rhiannon actually considered a witch?
Good point. Yeah, you're right. The inspiration for the song was a novel, triad. And in that story, Rhiannon is a goddess, not like a witch in the typical sense.
Okay,
But
interesting.
here's the thing, a lot of times at her concerts, Stevie would actually introduce the song as being about a witch.
Oh, wow, really?
Hmm.
So those concert introductions were like pouring fuel on the fire, huh?
Totally. Imagine at the 70s, right? A time when honestly witchcraft was seen as pretty suspicious, even scary.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have this like charismatic woman on stage, all those swirling shawls, singing those really intense lyrics and introducing a song about a powerful woman as being, about a witch. It definitely captured people's imaginations.
No doubt about it. It's
Yeah.
interesting though, because when you look at the interviews we have with Stevie, she never actually says that she is a practicing witch.
Right. You're right. She never comes right out and claims to be a practicing witch.
So what does she actually say about it all? Like, what were her own words?
There's a great interview from 1979 with Jim Ladd where she, I think, sums up her stance pretty well. She says, "There is always magic to be summoned at any point. I love to live in a world of magic, but not a fake world of magic." It seems to me like for her, it's about believing in something bigger than ourselves, something kind of mystical, spiritual.
Right. So it's not necessarily about like casting spells or anything like that.
Yeah, not exactly.
It's more about embracing a sense of wonder,
Yeah.
tapping into a kind of spiritual energy almost, like a different way of looking at the world.
Yeah, exactly. And she doesn't shy away from like using the language of magic either. In these interviews, she talks about good witches, fairies, angels, even in this idea that we all have our own magic inside us.
Huh. So is she talking about like a personal, internal kind of magic? And if so, how do you think that idea resonated with, her fans, especially back then?
That's a really great question. I think to understand that, we got to consider the cultural landscape of the 70s, right? There was this growing interest in like alternative spiritualities, kind of like a pushback against traditional religion.
So Stevie, talking about this personal magic, could have really spoken to people who were searching for something a bit different outside the mainstream.
Absolutely. A way to like empower yourself, find your own path.
Yeah.
And especially for women, think about it. It was a time of massive social change, the women's liberation movement, all these challenges to traditional gender roles.
Right, right.
And then you have Stevie with those flowing clothes, her really unapologetic embrace of the mystical, representing a kind of feminine power that was, both alluring and kind of dangerous.
Yeah, I can see that.
So even though she didn't explicitly seek out the witch label, it became a powerful part of her image.
Totally. And how she navigated that, especially early on, that's fascinating to see.
It is. There's an interview from the late 70s where she talks about actually being troubled by the label, worried about the negative associations, and even getting like threats because of it.
Wow, that's intense.
It is. You can totally understand why she might want to distance herself from that.
And in fact, she mentions in a few interviews that she purposely started to avoid wearing darker clothes, probably to counteract that stereotypical witch image, you know.
Makes sense, yeah, especially in the context of the 70s. Remember, the image of the witch was still very much tied to fear and superstition back then for a woman. Embracing that could be risky, even dangerous.
Absolutely. But that shift away from the witchy look didn't last forever, though, did it?
Nope, you're right. And what's super interesting is how she ends up reclaiming that look.
Right.
By the early 80s, with her solo album Belladonna, she's back to incorporating those mystical themes and imagery, But there's a new level of confidence there now.
Belladonna, that album is practically overflowing with mystical energy, and her style evolved too, right?
Yeah.
Think about those iconic top hats, all the layers of lace and velvet. She's not shying away from the witchy look at all anymore.
Totally. Like she's taking control of the narrative, deciding how she wants to present herself.
Yeah.
And there's this great interview from around then where she addresses the witchcraft question head on. She says, and I love this quote, "I do not believe in witchcraft as a natural philosophy at all. I just think it's fun. And I love black clothes, and I love moons and stars and Merlin hats and Mickey Mouse."
Uh-huh. So she's acknowledging that playful side, the theatricality of the image.
Definitely.
That there's still that underlying sense of, magic and spirituality that she's not letting go of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's during this period, the early 80s, that we really see her becoming this true icon.
Right.
She's not just a talented musician anymore. She's a cultural force, a symbol of feminine power and mystique.
And that brings us to a really fascinating turning point.
Right.
Her appearances in American Horror Story talk about embracing the witch persona.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Decades after Rhiannon, here she is playing the White Witch in Covenant Apocalypse full circle moment.
Totally.
Yeah.
But how do you think those roles fit into, her evolving relationship with the whole witch label? Was it just a fun acting gig for her, or is there something more going on?
That's what we're going to get into next.
Okay, sounds good.
Stay with us because this deep dive is just getting started.
Right.
It's wild how Stevie's whole career, you can kind of see it mirroring how people felt about witchcraft, Back in the 70s, it was all suspicion, fear even.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And now it's almost like fascination, even acceptance.
Totally, totally. And I think you can really see that reflected in how she went for those American Horror Story roles.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just acting, right? It's like a statement.
I think you're right. There's this interview, I think it was from 2018, where she's talking about Apocalypse. And she says, "I'm all grown up now and I'm fearless. Life is short. So when great things come your way, don't walk away from them because of something stupid. Just embrace it and have fun with it and do your best."
Yeah, she's basically saying, hey, I've been called a witch, so what? I'm going to have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's almost like defiant, but also playful,
Totally. It's like ownership. She's in control. She's not letting other people define her anymore.
Right.
She's taking that label and turning it into a strength.
And I think it resonates with people, especially I think women, seeing someone who was kind of demonized for being different, for her style, her beliefs, and now she's celebrated for it.
Absolutely.
It's like a victory against everyone who tried to put her in a box.
Totally. She's become a symbol of embracing who you are, your own magic, even if it's not the norm.
And the interesting thing is, she plays with this witch image, but she always says hey, I don't actually practice witchcraft.
Right, exactly.
In the traditional sense.
Yeah, but she's never dismissed the power of, magic and spirituality either.
Right.
It's almost like she's created her own mythology.
Yeah.
Drawing on, elements of witchcraft, goddess worship to create this image that's both enchanting and empowering.
And that's what's so brilliant about it. She's taken something that was used to put women down, control them even, and turn it into a source of strength, of inspiration.
Exactly.
And her fans get that.
Yeah.
They see her as someone who encourages them to be themselves, embrace their own weirdness, even if it doesn't fit in.
Oh, absolutely. A role model.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of fans, we actually have some really interesting stuff from Reddit discussions. And it's fascinating how a lot of fans associate Stevie with a very specific kind of witch vibe.
Yeah, it's not the spooky, scary Halloween witch,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's more about a connection to nature, to intuition, that feminine power.
They talk about her style, all the flowing clothes, her love of nature imagery, the mystical elements in her music. It's like they've created their own understanding of what witch means, but in the context of Stevie Nicks.
And that's so important. The way fans have embraced this label shows us that the whole meaning of witch has evolved.
Right.
It's not just about, spooky rituals and black magic anymore.
It's become something else.
Yeah, it's become a symbol of feminine power, creativity, that connection to something beyond, just the ordinary.
Maybe that's the real magic of Stevie Nicks. She's taken this word witch, which for so long was used to demonize women.
Yeah.
And she's made it into something beautiful, something powerful, something that speaks to this deep desire for connection and transcendence.
Totally. And she's done it through her music, her style, her whole persona. She's created a world where magic is real, not in the like spells and potions sense, but in the sense of believing in the power of dreams,
Right.
the beauty of nature, the resilience of the human spirit.
And her fans have really embraced that world.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They see themselves in her story, in her journey of like self-discovery, creative expression.
And that's ultimately what makes her such an icon. She's more than just a singer. She's a symbol of hope, of empowerment, of the possibility of transformation.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing to think it all started with a song, Rhiannon, and a woman who just decided to embrace that label witch on her own terms.
And as we've seen, it's become so much more than that.
So much more.
It's about the power of art to change how we see things, to challenge the way things are, and to inspire us to connect with our own inner magic.
That's a pretty powerful legacy for any artist. But do you think there's a downside to all this? Has the witch label maybe limited her in any way, or do you think it's been purely positive?
That's a really great question, and one that I think deserves some careful thought.
Yeah, it's worth considering, right? Like, are there downsides to being so tied to that witch label? Has it maybe, I don't know, put her in a box in some ways? It's a good question. I mean, yeah, it's obviously been a huge part of her mystique, her appeal, but maybe it's also kind of overshadowed other parts of her work, like, her songwriting.
Maybe, yeah. Or even limited her opportunities in some ways. Would certain people maybe hesitate to work with her because of that image? Who knows?
Yeah, it's tough to say for sure.
It is. But it makes you think about, how women in the music industry, or really any field, are often labeled and categorized in ways that men just aren't.
Oh, for sure. And those labels can be like both powerful and limiting, depending on, the situation.
Absolutely.
Like in Stevie's case, she's managed to really own that witch label, turn it into something positive.
She has.
But it hasn't always been easy,
Definitely not.
She's dealt with criticism, judgment, even threats, all because of that association.
And that takes a toll,
It does. It does. It reminds us that even the strongest women can be, vulnerable to those societal pressures.
Absolutely. And that's something we can all learn from, right?
Right.
Finding that balance between embracing who you are and navigating the world around you.
So the big question is Stevie Nicks a witch? I think the answer is a bit more complicated than a simple yes or no.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. She's never said she practices witchcraft, traditionally, but she's never run from the magic, the mystery either.
And in a way that makes it even more interesting.
It does.
Leaves room for interpretation, for imagination.
Exactly.
And lets her fans connect with her on all these different levels.
For sure.
Whether you see her as literally a witch, a symbol of feminine power, or just an incredibly talented artist, there's something in her music, her story, that really resonates,
Yeah, and that's what makes a true icon, right? Someone who transcends labels and categories, creates a legacy that's both personal and universal.
Well said. This has been a wild ride, exploring the mystical world of Stevie Nicks.
It has.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface, though.
Yeah, always more to discover, right? That's part of what keeps her so fascinating, that constant inspiration, the intrigue.
So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing your own, inner magic.
And until next time, may your days be filled with wonder and enchantment.